What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Just Geeking Out. I'm Lawrence St. Victor, and you saw the title, man. I'm here to talk about Man of Steel and everything Zack Snyder got right. Well, everything to me. I'm sure there's much more to everyone, but to me, these are the things that he got right. With this new Superman movie coming out, there's been so much hate and back and forth for the Snyder fanboys that hate what James Gunn is doing, and the James Gunn guys hating everything Snyder did. And honestly, I don't think either side is fair. Were there problems? Were there problems with the Man of Steel for me? Absolutely. Uh, do I like the direction the DCEU took after the Man of Steel? Yes and no. That being said, there are things in Man of Steel that, in my opinion, are objectively done well, and I want to go over them right now. But before that, hit that notification bell. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's already a long day, and it's only like 2 o'clock. But go in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on Man of Steel and your thoughts on my opinion. So let me share my screen. First up, man, one thing that Man of Steel got right, and you can't even debate this, man. It's the score. Hans Zimmer went in his bag and delivered us a beautiful score. You can listen to that score right now. If you read comic books, listen to it reading a Superman comic. It's so good. It's dramatic, it's iconic, it has depth. It's a beautiful score. And what John Williams created in the original Superman, like how do you top that? You don't. You do something completely different, but still emotional and powerful. And he did that. I mean, it's Hans Zimmer, so is anyone going to really debate Hans Zimmer? Next up, man, one thing Zack Snyder got the cast right. He got the cast right. A cast full of award winners and nominees. And, Amy Adams is an amazing actress, and I thought she brought a wonderful take to Lois Lane. Her take, I thought she was great. Of course, Russell Crowe. I mean, when we're on Krypton with Jor-El, and especially and then later with the holograms, you don't have that much time with this character. So you need the kind of actor who can be there for only like 10 minutes of screen time and freaking deliver. And he did, in my opinion. We also have Lawrence Fishburne, and who's amazing, and we all wanted more Perry White, but I think that's the point of a great actor. He can give you more. Of course, but that's not the picture I'm looking for. Diane Lane was phenomenal as Ma Kent, and of course Kevin Costner. Whether you liked his version of Pa Kent or not, you can't deny that he was amazing in this film. And where are you, Michael Shannon? I mean, Michael Shannon's a beast. Uh, Legitimately terrifying. He was really good. I can't find my picture of him, but you know what Michael Shannon looks like. So the cast was really great, and even the kids that played young Clark. I mean, I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed them a lot. Next up, honestly, I think this is still the best Superman costume we've ever gotten. The best Superman costume ever. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. Yeah, the best Superman costume we've ever gotten. Uh, the colors are muted, so I can see why people would have an issue with it. I get it. But from the design, it's alien, it's modern. I didn't miss the trunks, and I'm a trunks guy. I didn't miss the trunks. I love the new style of the S, the texture. What I love so much about this suit and compared to the other ones is that it just looks so much more natural when it comes to Henry Cavill's musculature. All these suits have like some padding in them, so you can really see the definition with the material over it. Because Henry Cavill is a very built, muscular man, but the suits like this would hide that. And I felt like as we got into Batman v Superman and Justice League, he started looking more and more like an action figure, where the muscles look obviously fake or too big or too round. And here, and not to say he got bigger for those movies, so it's not his physique that was small. It's just the way they stylized the suit. And here, as you can see, it just looks much more natural. I love this suit. Best Superman suit ever made, if you ask me, especially when they recolored it in Black Adam. The costume's fantastic, and not just his costume, right? I mean, the whole design of the film was really brilliant. Uh, and Krypton, what he gave the Kryptonians, you see Jarrell and Lara here, and kind of this kind of mean evil garb. Love that so much. Um, and even down to like just the specificity of this Kansas kind of dirty working in the field. Like the costuming department was pretty amazing in this movie, I have to say. Uh, Next up, the look of it. Like I said, like there's a certain look this film has, and it's pretty beautiful. And I know that it's desaturated, but once we get past what we think Superman should be and accept this version of him, I really like the look. This real world, grounded kind of look. At times it could be too dark, but I was digging it, man. And the action sequences were crazy. I mean, the fights were brilliant. The CGI. Look at this. Like the way Snyder gave us Kryptons is beautiful. It feels like we're on this alien planet that has its own culture and species. And then the look of the Kryptonians and their armor and the style of the ship. I mean, the look of this film is absolutely stunning. And when Clark's on the ship and you see like the metal start to morph and create images for him to follow the story of Krypton. All that stuff came out of Zack Snyder and his team, their brains, and I thought it was very, very creative. And like I said, the combat in this was great. We haven't gotten to see Superman fight anybody with this level of graphics, right? Because Superman 4 was terrible, even by the standards of those time when it came to the graphics and the fighting and the action. And then Superman Returns, he didn't hit nothing, had no one to hit. So in this film, I thought the way they showed the Kryptonians use their powers, how their powers look like, what they look like in combat. Clark's kind of, you know, does not a trained fighter, more of a brawler approach versus the Kryptonians who are soldiers and what that looks like with superpowers. Oh, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Zack Snyder was amazing in that, in my opinion. And then we get to tone. Now, I know a lot of you hate the tone of this film. It's not your Superman, right? It's too dark. It's too sad. It's too somber. But I want to say something real quick. This movie was produced by Christopher Nolan, who produced the Dark Knight trilogy. And the Dark Knight trilogy was a what if Batman was in the real world. It was a specific take on Batman, wanting to ground it and make it as realistic as possible. And Christopher Nolan and David Goyer had this same idea for Superman. What would it look like if Superman was dropped in our world today with the real world implications, right? And then they got Zack Snyder on board and he delivered it and put his vision on it. So Man of Steel was never supposed to be this one-for-one adaptation of the comic books or other content. It was supposed to be a what if Superman existed in the real world. That was the tone. So I think they executed that tone wonderfully. I think the tone was great for that approach, right? Now I think where things fell apart is where you try to create a world around that character. That's where I think things got messed up. I think this is a wonderful approach to Superman, and I think it should have had its three-movie trilogy, its franchise. I think them trying to chase Marvel and trying to get Batman back in the theaters, they watered down the Superman story, their original concept, by Batman v Superman. Like, Batman should not be introduced in this. Wonder Woman should not be introduced in this. Man of Steel asked us a question: what if a man like this existed? How would the world respond? We got to see Clark have his first fight. Clark figure out what it means to be Superman, and it ends with him wearing glasses, taking on the Clark Kent persona. Man of Steel 2 should have picked it up from there. How do I become Superman? How do I do this in a real world way? Just like The Dark Knight showed us, okay, now you're Batman. Things are escalating. What do you do now? We got to see that version of Bruce figure it out and fail and figure it out and fail. We were kind of robbed of that by them wanting to catch up to Marvel and expanding their universe. I think Man of Steel was overall pretty great when it came to tone and execution. I just don't think this is the kind of Superman you build a world around, right? We all love Batman 89, but he is a psychopathic, murdering Batman, and it's awesome. I would never want him to build a connected universe around that Batman. No, that Batman needs to live in his own franchise, and it'd be awesome. But if we're going to tell a story that's going to be more well rounded, then I think you need a Superman that fits the mode of the comics or the tone of the comics more. So I said that to say, with what they set out to do, I thought the tone was pretty excellent. I don't agree with all the choices. You know, Pa Kent dying in a tornado and Clark just watching. Don't like that at all. But still, the tone of this film, I thought it was pretty great for a what if Elseworlds thing. And that's been going on in comics for a long time, right? Like, we have comics, we have Absolute, we have Superman Birthright, which is a take on Superman. It's not main continuity; it's a take on Superman. Although this was supposed to be main continuity, then something happened. Would have been a great origin. And we also have Superman Earth One, which is still Clark. He's still a superhero, but the tone and feel and the character is slightly different. Not meant to be main continuity Superman. It's his own take. Same thing with Superman American Alien. Not supposed to be the main Superman, but a very close version that is allowed to have subtle differences. And right now we have Absolute Superman going on. So it makes sense to see these different interpretations, and we should see these different interpretations in the movies and understand what they are. So that's why I love Man of Steel's tone. Their mistake was trying to use that version and build a universe around him, and then not give that Superman his proper franchise, tell that Clark story. We didn't really get it. Not really, in my opinion. Um, I really enjoyed the relationships in this film, right? They were subtle, but you did get a Pa Kent who was very concerned about his son being exposed and not having a life, which is very similar to Smallville and similar in the comics and certain comics, but it was nice. And Kevin Costner delivered that wonderfully. I loved Clark's relationship with the military. Like, he is not their enemy, but he's also not going to be controlled by them. I like that a lot because, Superman is such the Boy Scout, and he is. And we kind of seen that with the David Corn Sweat one where it's like, but I'm not your puppet. I'm not your puppet. And his relationship to humans. I know people think Superman didn't save people, but he did save people in this movie. Could the Metropolis fight depicted that better? Yes, but this dude he caught, and he fell out of a helicopter, and he is in Smallville telling everyone to get away, it's not safe. And of course he's going to save Lois. And I love their relationship, like someone he can finally talk to and open up to. It's very different, him saving her life and having to cauterize her wound with the heat visions. Not as romantic as the other versions, but still has a depth. And of course, I mean, I love everything. I wish we got more of this. This is why I feel like we were robbed of the Man of Steel 2. And yes, we have some Ma Kent and Clark scenes in Batman v Superman and in Justice League, but we needed more here. We needed way more of just him home. I love that stuff. Him home drinking a beer, his mom. I just love it all. So I thought the relationships were great. And, you know, and there's things about the movie that people are upset about. My big thing is Jonathan Kent and the tornado, but a lot of people are upset with him killing Zod. And I can understand why one would be upset by that. But he did kill Zod in the comic books, or a version of Zod. He killed them in the comic books, ruthlessly, might I add, using kryptonite. Um, and it definitely hurt him, broke Superman to do this. But he did do it. It's in the comics. And not to mention the comics, and everyone's favorite, Christopher Reeve is everyone's favorite Superman. The way he kills Zod in Superman 2 is infinitely worse. He literally did something to trick Zod and the other Kryptonians into believing Superman was going into a chamber to get his powers stripped away. When in reality, everyone on the outside of the chamber who had powers had their powers stripped away. So it was after he stripped away Zod's powers, then he lifts him up and throws him into an abyss. He had literally taken all the Kryptonians to jail. Easy, they had no powers. But he kills Zod, Lois kills Ursula, and Non just tries to fly, falls to a death, and Superman doesn't catch him. So yes, I understand it can be jarring to see Superman break Zod's neck. But within that film, with that version of Superman, I actually did not have a problem with that at all. So that is my take on some of the things that Zack Snyder got right. And the biggest thing he got right, in my opinion, was the casting of Henry Cavill. Henry just exudes strength, warmth, gentleness, power, and grace. He is Superman. And I think that he's much more Superman than we were ever allowed to see. I was cool with the confused Clark who doesn't know how to fight yet, who's getting a handle on his powers of Man of Steel. But we never got to see that version of Superman become the beacon of hope. We saw glimpses of it in Joss Whedon's Justice League and definitely in the Snyder cut. But we never got a whole movie of that Superman. And I feel like that's the Superman Henry Cavill was like chopping at the bit to play. The only reason to tell an origin story like Man of Steel, of him making mistakes, of him killing Zod, maybe there's another way, maybe my father was wrong, maybe the world is ready for me. The only reason to do an origin story of a man who is very confused about who he is because eventually you get to see him become who he's supposed to be. And we never got that journey. But Henry Cavill was perfect for it. They weren't casting Clark and Man of Steel. They were casting a guy who they knew would evolve into the Superman that he would be if we got a 3-picture deal out of this. And we saw it in glimpses, man. Like I said, Justice League's both. His cameo in Black Adam. It's like, finally, there it is. Let him do it. Anywho, that's my take, man. Man of Steel, not perfect, has problems, but a solid version of Superman. Is it the version? No. Should it be the definitive version? No. Should you build a whole world around that version? Sure, an Elseworld. Fine, an Elseworld. But should it be main continuity? No. And it didn't set out to be. Just like the Dark Knight trilogy didn't set out to be main continuity Batman, right? That Batman didn't have a Robin. You had a John Blake who's an adult, whose birth name is Robin, who most likely took on the mantle of Batman. A Batman who, in the Dark Knight, wanted to retire from being Batman. And we all know we read the comics, dude is too obsessed to actually even retire. That version of Batman, you're not going to get a Killer Croc. You're not going to get a Mr. Freeze. You're not going to get a Clayface. So Nolan's Batman can't be the definitive comic book adapted. It's a take. Just like Batman 89, it's a take. And Man of Steel, flaws and all, was a wonderful take of Superman. I'm a Superman fan. I like this movie, was excited for this movie. It came out on my birthday, and I'm excited for James Gunn's Superman movie. And they're both going to be on my shelf, right? I ordered David Corn Sweat Superman, and he's going to stand next to him. Who's standing next to him? I'm a Superman fan. Give me all of them, baby. Give me all of them. Because at the end of the day, I'm a fan of this guy. Comic book Superman. Fan of this guy. So I'm off my soapbox. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll be back. Same super time, same super channel. Peace.